For this demo, I'm using a Windows virtual machine connected to the file fabric, also running as a virtual machine. The solution can be deployed as a multi-tenant appliance, on-premise, in the Google Cloud and other clouds, or as a managed service. I'm logging here using username and password. Two-factor authentication is also supported. We can also link this up to LDAP or SAML. Here I'm seeing the file manager, which shows all of my storage into one place. I'm going to jump though to the cloud provider dashboard. As an administrator, this is where I can manage connectors to different storage providers. File Fabric supports many different types of storage providers, over 60, both file system, object storage, applications, FTP, and public and private clouds. You can see here we have a Google Cloud provider and an S3 provider. Individual users can also add their own private accounts. This is a great way of adding corporate oversight and policies to personal cloud accounts, as well as making it easier to move data to sanctioned data stores. Here we can see OneDrive, Dropbox, and Google Drive. I'm going to add a new provider here. And I'm going to actually choose a Google Storage provider. I could also add a backup provider which transparently replicates changes to the primary provider. It can be a completely different vendor or technology, not to mention data center. I can provide the access key and secret. I can index the content of the files for search, or I can just index the metadata, the file names, timestamps, index. And what happens now is that the file fabric goes out and pulls in the object metadata for that provider in the background. The source objects or the file names aren't changed, but by pulling that metadata into our unified search index allows us to search across the system. Once the bucket has been indexed, we have a number of ways to find and access our objects. Let's look at the file manager, and we'll jump straight into the search screen. I'll search for a string, a security, and we'll use the default wildcard search. So now I'm seeing files and folders that match security. We'll have that word, whether it be the name of the file, metadata, or if we're indexing it, the content as well. Makes it real easy to find information hidden in Google Cloud Storage. I can also find information, of course, through a familiar hierarchical folder view. I'm seeing here aggregation of all of the unstructured data that I've indexed, so it makes it real easy to find information, and also drag and drop information between providers. What I'm going to do with our new provider is create a bucket. If I create a folder at the root level, it creates a bucket, and I can drag and drop information from other sources, or in this case I'm just going to pull in some information from my desktop. It will be uploaded in the background. Large files will be streamed in separate pieces, and once that data is uploaded, it's actually safely in the cloud, in Google Cloud Storage. You'll note that these folders and files have not been changed. They've not been obfuscated, so applications can access them directly from object storage, from Google Cloud Storage. They can make changes, synchronized back to the file fabric. I can also access this data through the cloud drive, whether it be Windows, Mac, or Linux. I'm going to add some more files to the cloud. Now that we have our files safely in the cloud, we can still use our desktop applications to access them and change them. When I open this file, the drive checks that this is the latest version and it will download a later one if need be into cache, and then it allows me to edit that file locally. When I save that file or close that file, it's uploaded in the background. What's also nice is if I have this file open, it's actually locked. So other users who are trying to access this file will be only able to open it read-only. They'll see the file is locked and in use by another user. You can see here also I've enabled versions, so I can see that when I make a change, I am creating a version as a mechanism for keeping track of changes, as well as a data safety mechanism. I can also delete files, and here we've, through the file fabric, added this notion of trash. So if I wanted to see my files in trash, I can look down here. I can restore these or clear the trash. And trash can also be hidden from regular users and only accessible for administrators. Going back to my file view, I can also see previews. In this case, we're using Microsoft Online Preview. See the change I just made. I also have the File Manager open in this Firefox view as another user, as Mark from Marketing. You can see how Mark's view is different. We're only seeing the folders that we call the shared folders that they have access to. The ones that are grayed out are the ones where we have given read-only access. If we go back to the folder we just added, for example, Marketing Resources, we can convert that to a team folder, which allows us then to add standard sort of file-based permissions. So perhaps we'll add read-write download to the marketing group. And then when we go back to Mark's view, and we'll just refresh this view, we can see now that Mark has access to the marketing resources. Another way to give document access to users is, of course, through sharing links. If we select the file here, we can see we have a number of options around sharing links. We can create a link that expires after a number of days, perhaps is limited to a certain number of downloads, and we can send that link in line over email, or we can generate a shared link. In fact, if I copy this out and I'll create an incognito window, I now have the ability to download that once, and if I try again, I will get an error. The file fabric includes a number of controls to support your organization's preferences and policies, particularly around data security and compliance. For the main menu here, we can see we can jump into our audit logs. We can see here the recent downloads from marketing and a shared link. And this can also be integrated into syslogs. We have support for storage quotas, managing shared links created by the users, content search and action, permissions as we saw, the ability to configure a range of single sign-on systems, and a number of policies reflecting the user interface, policies around file sharing, data loss protection, encryption, versioning and trash, branding, and notifications.